Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Comeback Conversations. And as always, this podcast is for women who feels like somewhere along the way, life got busy. Everyone else became the priority, and you started to lose a bit of yourself in the process. And today's episode, I think, is one that a lot of you are going to feel very deeply because we're talking about something that isn't spoken about enough. The invisible mental load, the constant running list in your head, the things you remember, the things you notice, the things you plan, the things you worry about, the things you organize, the things you carry without anyone really seeing it. And this is why so many women feel tired before they've even started. Not because you're lazy, not because you're unmotivated, not because you don't care about your health, but because mentally you're already carrying so much before the day has even properly begun. You wake up and your brain is already on. What's for dinner? Who needs what today? Did I reply to that message? Have I booked that appointment? What needs doing at work? What needs doing at home? What does everybody else need from me? And somewhere at the bottom of that list is you, your workout, your walk, your meals, your water, your sleep, your confidence, your body, your energy. And because you're at the bottom of the list for so long, you start to feel like taking care of yourself is essentially another job, another thing to get wrong. And that is what I really want to talk about today. Because if you've been telling yourself, I just need more motivation, I want you to listen carefully. You might not need more motivation. You might need less mental clutter. You might need more structure. You might need better support. You might need to stop relying on willpower when your brain is already exhausted. So today I want to break this down properly. Why you feel so tired, why starting feels hard, and why health and fitness can feel overwhelming even when you know what to do. And most importantly, what you can actually do about it. Because this episode isn't here to make you feel guilty, it's here to make you feel seen. And then it's here to help you take back a bit of control. The invisible mental load is all about the thinking behind the doing. It's not just cooking dinner, it's deciding what to cook, checking what's in the fridge, remembering who likes what, thinking about what needs using up essentially, planning when you'll go shopping, remembering the one thing that somebody asked for, then getting home and realizing someone's eaten the thing that you needed for that meal. It's not just booking an appointment, it's noticing that the appointment needs booking in the first place. It's remembering the date, checking everybody else's schedules, finding a time, putting it in the diary, reminding the person, then making sure they actually go. It's not just housework, it's noticing the washing pile before anyone else does, knowing there's no toilet roll left, remembering the birthday card, thinking about the school message, remembering someone needs new shoes, noticing the fridge is empty, knowing the bins go out tonight, thinking 3 steps ahead all the time. And the thing with the mental load is most of it is invisible. People see the final action. They don't see the hundreds and thousands of thoughts behind it. They see the dinner on the table. They don't see the planning. They see the clean clothes. They don't see you getting on with things. They don't see the mental checklist. They don't see the noise in your head. And over time, that becomes exhausting because your brain actually never fully switches off. Even when you're sitting down, you're not really resting. You're thinking, you're scanning, you're planning, you're worrying, you're remembering. And then you wonder why at 7 p.m., when you finally get a bit of space, the last thing you want to do is cook something healthy or do a workout. Of course you don't, because by that point, your brain has been running basically a marathon all day. I'll tell you what, a marathon's bloody tough. So when women say to me, Henry, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just can't get motivated. I often think there might not be anything wrong with you at all. You're just overwhelmed. You're mentally full. You've got no bandwidth left. And that is a completely different problem to laziness. Now, let's now bring this back to your health, your fitness, your food, your body, your confidence, because there's a lot of women who build themselves up. You tell yourself, I know what I should be doing. I know I should move more. I know I should drink more water. I know I should stop snacking at night. I know I should eat better. I know I should get back into exercise. And because you know these things, you think the problem must be you. You think, why can't I just do it? But knowing what to do and having the mental space to do it are two very different things. Most people don't fail because they know that protein is helpful. They don't fail because they've never heard of walking. They don't fail because they don't understand that vegetables are good for them. They fail because life is chaotic. They fail because there's no plan. They fail because decision making is constant. They fail because every day feels like survival mode. They fail because by the time they finally think about themselves, they're already drained. And this is why vague goals don't work. I'll try and eat better. I'll try and exercise more. I'll try and be good this week. Those sound fine, but when your mental load is already high, vague goals become more mental pressure because now you have to decide every day what better means. What should I eat? When should I train? What workout should I do? Have I done enough? Is this meal okay? Should I be doing more? What happens if I mess up? And that is tiring. That is why structure matters so much. Not because you need to be perfect, not because your life needs to become strict and boring, but because structure reduces decisions. And when you reduce decisions, you reduce that mental load. So, this is exactly what I often say to clients. Sorry, why I often say to clients, don't make your health and fitness journey more complicated than it needs to be. You don't need a completely different breakfast every day. You don't need the perfect training plan with 100 exercises. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in 1 week. You need simple, you need repeatable, you need clear. You need something that works even when life is busy. Because if the plan only works when your life is calm, it's then honestly, it's a shit plan. Your plan needs to work when work is busy, when the family needs you, when sleep hasn't been great, when motivation is low, when you've got a lot on. That's the real test. Right. Let's talk about that feeling. The one where you wake up and then you already feel 2 steps behind. You haven't even done anything yet, but mentally you already feel tired. That can feel really frustrating because from the outside, people might think, well, you've only just woken up, but mentally, you're already carrying the day. You're always thinking about what needs to happen. You're already aware of everything waiting for you. And this is where exercise can then start to feel impossible because it's not just a workout, it's getting changed, finding the time, knowing what to do, starting, getting a sweat on, showering after, fitting that all around everything else. And when you're already overwhelmed, even a 30-minute workout can feel like a huge mountain. That's the same with food. It's not just eating well, it's planning the meal, buying the food, prepping it, cooking it, cleaning it up, trying to make it work around everybody else. And then if you make one choice that isn't perfect, you feel like you failed. So this is why so many women end up in the same cycle. You start the week with good intentions. Monday feels okay. Tuesday gets busy. Wednesday, you're tired. Thursday, something throws you off. Friday, you think, oh, I've messed up now. The weekend then becomes a massive free for all. The Sunday night comes and you say, right, I'll start again Monday. And then that cycle repeats. But the problem is that you don't care. Sorry, the problem isn't that you don't care. The problem is that the system you're using relies too much on having loads of energy, loads of time, loads of motivation, and a perfectly calm week. And let's be honest, how often does that actually happen? For most mums, especially women over 40, life isn't perfectly calm. You spent years looking after other people. You've been the organizer, the problem solver, the emotional support, the one who remembers, the one who checks in, the ones who the one who keeps things moving. And even when the kids get older or move out or become more independent, that mental role doesn't always switch off. You might have more physical space, but mentally you're still wired to think about everybody else first. And that is why this stage of life can feel confusing because part of you wants to focus on yourself again, but another part of you almost doesn't know how. You might even feel guilty for it. You might think, is it selfish to put myself first? And I want to be very clear here no, it is not selfish, it is necessary because you cannot keep giving from an empty tank. And you're allowed to have goals that belong to you. You're allowed to want to feel good in your clothes. You're allowed to want more energy. You're allowed to want to feel attractive. You're allowed to want to feel strong. You're allowed to want to look in the mirror and think, you know what? Yeah, I'm actually really proud of myself. That's not selfish. That's you coming back to yourself. Now, I don't want to just talk about to-do lists because the invisible mental load is not only practical, it's emotional as well. It's worrying everybody is okay. It's being the person to come to. It's sensing when something is off. It's carrying the mood of the house. It's feeling responsible for keeping everybody happy. And that emotional load can be even more draining than physical tasks because you can't tick it off a list. You can't just complete it and be done. It sits with you. And this can have a massive impact on your eating habits because when you're emotionally drained, food can become comfort. Not because you're weak, but because it's easily accessible. It's quick. It gives you a moment. It gives you relief. It gives you something for yourself. So when someone says just stop snacking at night, they're completely missing the point. For a lot of women, even snacking isn't just about hunger. It's about finally having a moment where when nobody needs anything from you. It's the first time all day that you've sat down, and food becomes the thing that says, here, have something. The problem is, it doesn't actually solve the tiredness. It doesn't solve the overwhelm. It gives you temporary comfort, and then often afterwards, you feel frustrated or guilty with yourself. And that frustration and guilt adds to another layer of the mental load. Now you're not only tired, you're tired and you're annoyed at yourself. You're tired and guilty, tired and thinking you failed again. And this is why I don't like when people make fat loss or fitness sound like it's just discipline. Discipline matters, of course it does, and that builds over time. But if we don't understand what's going on behind this and what's driving the behavior, we're only dealing with the surface. And if your evenings are chaotic, we need a plan for your evenings. If you snap because you're exhausted, we need to look at the rest of your day. If you keep skipping workouts because you don't know when to fit them in, we need a better structure. If you're always putting yourself last, we need to practice putting yourself somewhere higher up the list. Not perfectly, not overnight, but gradually. One of the worst messages in the fitness industry is the idea that you're not getting results because you're just not trying hard enough. Now, sometimes, yes, obviously, effort does need to improve. But for a lot of women, you're already trying hard. You're trying hard at work. You're trying hard with family. Trying hard to keep the house going. You're trying hard to be there for everyone. You're trying hard to hold it all together. So when someone tells you to just try harder, it can feel like another massive slap in the face because you don't need more pressure. You need a clearer path. You need support. You need someone to help you simplify things. You need to stop making the basics feel like a full-time job. This is why I always come back to the boring stuff. Steps, protein, water, a few structured workouts, a realistic food plan, better sleep habits, checking in, having accountability. Not because those things sound fancy, but because I know they work. I've seen it's worked. And more importantly, they reduce the chaos. You don't need to wake up every day and completely reinvent the wheel. You need to know, what am I eating today? When am I moving today? What are my non-negotiables? What's the minimum I can do even if the day gets busy? That last one is massive because so many people have an all or nothing mindset. If they can't do the full workout, they do nothing. If they can't eat perfectly, they write off the whole day. If they have one bad meal, the whole week is ruined. But when your mental load is high, you need a plan that has a minimum version. For example, if you can't do the full workout, go and do 15 minutes. If you can't get 10,000 steps in, go do 6,000. If dinner isn't perfect, make sure there's protein on the plate. If the day is chaotic, drink your water and get outside for a walk. That's how you build consistency. Not by being perfect, but by learning how to stop quitting just because that day wasn't ideal. So, what do you actually do? Because it's all well and good saying reduce the mental load, but how? I want to give you a few practical things here. Number one, get things out of your head. Your brain is not meant to hold everything. If you're carrying 100 thoughts around all day, of course you feel tired. Write things down, journal, use notes in your phone, use a simple planner, use a whiteboard, use anything, but stop trying to remember everything. The moment it's written down, your brain can relax slightly, and that applies to your health as well. Don't just say, I'll try and eat well. Write the meals down, have the plan. Don't just say, I'll exercise this week. Put the workouts in your diary on the days that you set to go and do them. Don't just hope you'll drink more water. Have a bottle visible. Honestly, I've used this technique with so many clients. They have the bottle in front of them on the desk at work, and then they start drinking. And the difference is huge. Recovery is huge. Sleep gets better. You want to make you want to make the right actions easier to remember and easier to do. Simplify your food. A lot of people make food way too complicated. You don't need a brand new recipe every day. You don't need every meal to be exciting. You don't need to cook separate meals for yourself and everyone else all the time. Have a few go-to meals. Have a breakfast you can repeat. Have lunches that are easy. Have dinners where you know how to build the plate. Protein, some carbs, some color, and a portion that matches your goal. Pretty simple. The more complicated your food plan is, the more mental energy it takes. And when life gets busy, complicated plans are the first thing to go. Number three, lower the starting point. If you've not exercised for a while, don't tell yourself I'm going to go train 5 to 6 days a week. Start with 2 or 3. If you're overwhelmed, don't aim for perfection. Aim for repeatable rhythm. You need wins. You need proof that you can show up. You need to rebuild trust with yourself. And that is so important because a lot of women don't just struggle with motivation. They struggle because they've let themselves down so many times that they don't fully believe they'll stick it out. And the way to rebuild that belief is not by making huge promises, it's by making small promises and then keeping them. I'm going to walk today, then you walk. I'm going to drink 2 liters of water today, and then you do it. I'm going to do one workout, even if it's 20 minutes, and then you do it. That's how confidence comes back. Not from thinking about it, not from, but from proving it to yourself. Now, number 4, ask for support. I know this is hard for a lot of people, because if you're used to being the one who supports everyone else, asking for help can feel uncomfortable. But you do not have to do everything alone. In fact, trying to do everything alone is one of the reasons that you feel so tired. Support might mean having a conversation at home. It might mean saying, I need this time for myself. It might mean getting someone else to take responsibility for something. It might mean joining a group. It might mean getting coaching. It might mean having someone check in with you so you're not relying purely on your own head to stay on track. And this is honestly why I love the community side of what I do. Because when women realize they're not the only ones feeling like this, something changes. They stop thinking, what's wrong with me? And they start thinking, okay, I'm not broken. I just need a better way. And that's powerful. So here's the truth. If your health is always at the bottom of the list, eventually it will start affecting everything else on the list. Your energy, your patience, your mood, your confidence, your sleep, your relationships, your self-esteem, how you show up at work, how you show up at home, how you feel in your own skin. And I know it can feel easier to say, I'll focus on myself when things calm down, but things don't always calm down. There'll always be something, a busy week, a family thing, a work thing, a holiday, a birthday, a stressful period, a bad night's sleep. And unfortunately, that's just life. So the goal is not to wait until life is perfect. The goal is to learn how to look after yourself in the middle of a normal life. That's the difference. Because anyone can be consistent when everything's easy, but real progress comes when you keep showing up imperfectly. And maybe that means your workout is shorter. Maybe that means your food isn't perfect, but it's better than it would have been. Maybe that means you only hit 2 of your 3 non-negotiables, but that still counts. And this is what I really want you to take from today. You don't need to overhaul your whole life to start feeling better. You need to stop abandoning yourself completely. You need to start creating little pockets of control again. A walk, a decent breakfast, a planned lunch, a workout booked in, a better evening routine, a check in with someone, a moment where you ask yourself, what do I actually need today? Because for years, a lot of you have been asking everyone else what they need. What do the kids need? What does my partner need? What does work need? What does the house need? But when was the last time you properly asked yourself, what do I need? Do I need rest? Do I need structure? Do I need support? Do I need to stop pretending I'm fine? Do I need to make a change? And that question matters. I also want to say this because I know a lot of women listening will feel like they've left it too late. You might be thinking, I should have sorted this years ago. I've let myself go. I don't even know where to start. I don't feel like myself anymore. I'm too far gone. And I want to tell you, you're not too far gone. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You're probably just tired of carrying everything. And when you've spent years prioritizing everybody else, of course it takes time to learn how to prioritize yourself again. But you can. You absolutely can. I've seen women go from feeling completely stuck, overwhelmed, and in low confidence to becoming consistent, getting fitter, getting stronger, losing weight, feeling better in clothes, and actually enjoying looking after themselves again. Not because they suddenly became a different person, but because they had structure, they had support, they had a plan that fitted their life, and they stopped waiting for the perfect time. That is the key. There probably won't be a perfect time, but there can be a starting point. And the starting point does not need to be dramatic. It can be simple. It can be today. It can be your next meal. It can be your next walk. It can be the decision to stop telling yourself you failed and start asking, what's one thing I can do next? That question will change everything. Not how do I fix my whole life? Not how do I lose all that weight by next month? Not how do I become perfect? Just what's one thing I can do next? And that's how you move forward. So before we wrap up, I want to give you a simple action plan. Not a huge one, not something overwhelming, just something realistic. This week, I want you to pick 3 non-negotiables, 3 things that make you feel like you're looking after yourself again. For example, 1 walk a day, 2 liters of water, protein with each meal, or 3 workouts this week, no phone in bed, and a planned lunch every day, or 8,000 steps, a proper breakfast, no mindless snacking after dinner. Whatever fits your life, whatever works for you, but keep it simple. And here's the important bit. Don't pick things that sound impressive. Pick things that you can actually do. Because the goal is not to create another list that makes you feel like a failure. The goal is to create evidence, evidence that you can show up, evidence that you can keep promises to yourself, evidence that you're not stuck. And then at the end of the week, don't just ask, was I perfect? Ask, did I do better than last week? Did I show up more than I normally would? What made things harder? What helped? What do I need to adjust? That is how you make progress. You don't need guilt. You don't need feedback. Sorry, you don't need guilt. You need feedback. You don't need shame. You need better strategy. And if you're listening to this and thinking, I need help with this, then that's exactly what my coaching is built around. Not just giving you a random workout and random meal plan, but helping you build structure around your real life, helping you know what to do, helping you stay accountable, helping you stop falling into the same Monday to Friday to weekend cycle, helping you finally put yourself back on the list without feeling guilty for it, because you deserve that. You deserve to feel good. You deserve to have energy. You deserve to feel confident, and you deserve that support too. So, to wrap up this episode, I want you to remember this. Feeling tired before you've even started does not mean you're lazy. It might mean you're overloaded. It might mean you're carrying too much in your head. It might mean you've been putting yourself last for too long. And the answer is not to shame yourself into doing more. The answer is to simplify, create structure, ask for the support, lower the pressure, and start with small promises that you can actually keep. Because those small promises are how you rebuild that confidence. They're how you rebuild energy. They're how you start coming back to yourself. And that's exactly what this podcast is about. Coming back to the version of you that still exists under all the tiredness, the overwhelm, the responsibility, and the years of putting everyone else first. She's still there, and it's not too late to bring her back. So if this episode hit home, send it to someone who needs to hear it. And if you're a woman over 40 who feels like you're tired, stuck, and ready to finally start putting yourself first again, drop me a message on Instagram or WhatsApp, etc., with the word load, and I'll point you in the right direction. Thank you for listening to the Combat Conversations. And remember, you don't need to do everything perfectly. And you just need to stop leaving yourself until last. And I'll speak to you in the next one.